Welcome to Monday Morning Critic Podcast. Here is Derek Thomas.
Back to Jim Carr's Sports Talk.
Hi, Jim Carr again. Dennis, I know that some in our audience don't know the finer points of hockey. Could you tell them, for example, what is icing?
Well, icing happen when the puck come down, bang, before the other guys. Mm-hmm. Nobody there, Mm-hmm. My arm comes out, then the game stop, then start up.
I see. What is high sticking?
High sticking happen when the guy take the stick, when he go like that. You don't do that.
You don't do that?
Oh, no, never.
Why not?
Against the rules. You're stupid when you do that. Just some English pig with no brain
Dennis,
at all,
What is slashing?
Slashing is like that,
Mm-hmm. And there's a penalty for that?
Yeah. And for a trip also,
Oh.
like that, and
Mm-hmm.
for hook like this, and for spear, like that.
Mm-hmm.
All bad.
Bad.
You do that, you go to the box, 2 minutes by yourself, and you feel shame,
Mm-hmm.
And then you get free.
My next guest is a Canadian-born actor with a wonderful filmography highlighted by one of the greatest movies of all time, Slapshot. Please welcome Yvon Barrette. Yvon, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you for inviting me. That's nice. It's always fun to talk about Slapshot.
It is. And I got to say, before we get to Slapshot, there's a lot to your life. It's not just one movie. You're a very skilled actor. You've done some pretty amazing things. But before I get to that, I think all great people were born on the 16th. You're born on September 16th. I'm born on October 16th. So you and I are like brothers.
Absolutely. You're right.
So I thought I read somewhere, Yvon, where you were growing up. People automatically assume, yes, he's from Quebec. He played hockey. He's in this, enormous movie. But I thought I read somewhere where basketball was your sport of choice.
Yes, that was my sport. And that's funny because I'm not very tall.
Right.
That's why I made Slapshot because they were looking for a short, squat French Canadian. But I was very good at basketball. Yes, absolutely.
Do you still follow basketball today, or was it something more you did when you were as a younger child?
I went back to basketball last year, following the Raptors.
Ah, okay.
Toronto Raptors. They have a great team, and that's fun to watch.
So you grew up, and I hope I have this right too, and I hope I'm going to pronounce it right. You grew up in a place called Alma. Do I have that right?
Yes, Alma, Lake Saint John. That's east of Quebec.
A town of 15,000 people. Talk to me about what it was like growing up in a town that's, by comparison, is maybe a little smaller. How was your childhood growing up? How did you, what kind of kid were you? Talk a little bit about that.
Oh, yes. I had a very, very funny childhood. Yeah. My father was electrician.
Yeah.
He was a contractor. My mother was florist. So I grew up in a big store, and I used to start working for my father at 12 years old. I spent my summer working with him, and we were in a very big family. I was raised with my grandmother in the same house. We were at Christmas. We were 75 people in the house.
Wow!
Christmas time. I had many uncles, many cousins. That was a big, big family, and that was fun. A lot of fun.
Wow!
Yes, and I started doing theater in Alma when I was around 17. Summer theater. And I loved it from the first plays I went in. I love to be an actor, but my father was seeing me as an electrician. He thought I was going to be an electrician, but I was an artist more. I was close to my mother, who was a great artist. She was she did some theater too, and anyway, when I decided to go to the National Theater School instead of going to Ottawa University, my father was unhappy with it. He never came to see movies that I did in Quebec. He was unhappy with my choice. The first time he was happy with it, he was in Miami, Florida, at the premiere of Slapshot. And when he saw me with Paul Newman, he was standing in the theater saying, "He is my son." Now he knew that I might do something with it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's that I hear that story, not your particular story a lot, but the general feel of it, right? Because I always, I put myself in your dad's shoes, and I think, you know what? There's nothing wrong with a man wanting his son to have a steady career, because an electrician is honorable work. It's good work.
Absolutely.
It's good work. Yeah. But then again, I put myself in your shoes, and it's like, and your mother probably realizes this, is that it's in your heart that you want to act. It's not, great. You don't want to wake up every day and go to a job that you're miserable with. You want to wake up every day and say, you know what? I'm fulfilling my dream. I'm doing what I love. So I wonder,
right.
It gets me thinking, I wonder if your mom and your dad, I would have liked to hear those discussions, because one is an art point of view, one is maybe a little more practicality and, get the everyday, 8 to 4 job. Do you think they talked a lot about your career choice?
I don't think they talked so much about my career choice, because when my mother died, I was 16 years old, and my father got married 6 months later.
Okay.
So I had a mother-in-law. I was raised by his new wife. That was difficult in my childhood because of one thing: a lot of alcohol around the house.
Yeah.
My brother had an alcohol problem. That's why she died so young. And I was studying at Séminaire de Québec when she died, and I came back home around Christmas that first year, a few months after her death, and the employees were having their Christmas party, and they poured me a big buck of gin with very little water, and they said go go go, and I never had alcohol before, but with that one drink I got drunk.
Yeah.
And my father told me he was unhappy with the incident, and he told me, do nothing because you are like your mother. It was quite hard. After my father and I, because of alcohol, I had an alcohol problem from let's say 16 to 39 years old. I'm sober for 35 years.
Congratulations.
Yes, and I was lucky to be able to do it. As soon as I understood that alcohol problem is not a brain problem, is not it's physical. It's only because your liver cannot filter alcohol anymore.
Right.
It goes straight to your brain. And as soon as I understood that was a mechanical problem, if we want to say that.
Yeah.
I cured it. I went for a cure, 3 weeks, and that's it. I never had a glass of alcohol since.
Wow, that's amazing.
35 years. Yeah, and It's like getting back to my child, my
Right.
own child. I was able to own my life again. And that's why I'm still in shape and still happy. And I had that problem when we did Slapshot. I had alcohol problem.
Right.
And when you look at Denis Lemieux, his febrility, his sort of sensibilities, I can see it and understand it. I made Denis Lemieux with myself. I was not portraying a professional hockey player. I was creating a character.
Right.
And that's so close to me that as soon as I come back to the lines, it comes back to this part of my life that was very intense for 13 weeks. You know, I used to become hockey players for 13 weeks. I was saying with the hockey players from the Jets who were working with us in the movie. We were helping each other. They helped us being hockey players, and we helped them being actors. That was a pretty good mix. That's why Slapshot is still there. It's almost a documentary
Yeah.
about hockey life.
Yeah. That's very well
And
said.
the real thing. The writer Nancy Dowd, she create a fantastic movie. That's why all the hockey world grabbed it and made that movie their movie. Yes, everybody is able to find a character who looks like him, who is like him. Who, you know, it's easy to. And Denis Lemieux was a very funny part.
Yes.
And they learn the lines, and they love the lines, and they know the lines. The first times I was invited to sign pictures, and I was invited by what's his name anyway? He lives in Toronto. He has a store of for pictures collectors, and anyway. And I left Saint Leandre. I took my plane in Montjoly. I landed in Toronto. They picked me up at the airport and drove me right in a radio studio in Toronto. That was my first time.
Wow.
And I never showed up since 1976 to 2003. Almost anything happened. With that was the first time. So they brought me in the studio, and the announcer asked me some questions, and I was the first guy to say fuck on the sport radio in Ontario. He said, "What's your favorite line?" I said, "Train me right fucking now." The same night, I was invited in the Air Canada Centre to assist at a game between the Maple Leafs and I think it was the Pittsburgh Penguins or something like that.
Right.
And I went to journalist booth when I made it to the Air Canada Centre. And everybody said, "Oh, look, he was the guy who said fuck on the radio." and a big guy ran to me and grabbed me in his arms and said, "You inspired my hockey career." And he was one of the players of the American team who won the Olympics.
Wow.
Well, that was something.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I had an interview with Toronto journalists between the first period and the second period, and between the the second and the third, journalist from Pittsburgh. you know, and on the third period, they showed me on the large screen, and everybody were happy to see Denis Lemieux.
Yeah.
That was something crazy.
Yeah.
And, yeah, and I did a collect show in Toronto. I was signing mini mask of Denis Lemieux.
Yeah, and I was gonna.
But
one of the things that I was going to ask you, and I'm sorry to interrupt because there's a little delay. I apologize. But it sounds like you really love, and we're going to get to Slapshot, but because you brought it up, it sounds like you really love, you embrace Denis Lemieux. You love the character. You love to be around fans. You love to be around people. And as a fan of movies, that is so refreshing to see that. Some actors, they don't want any part of it. They say, I don't want to do that anymore. That's not who I am. You embrace it. You genuinely love it. And as a movie fan...
Yes.
I love
because
seeing...
fans love Denis Lemieux.
Love him. I love Denis Lemieux.
Yeah, that's it. Look, the first time I was signing mini mask, and I was asking myself, how come they come? Why do they come to me and seem so happy? And I looked on the other side of the where I was signing. Mr. Johnny Bauer was sitting there.
Wow!
And he was one of my idol when I was 13 years old. He was playing for Toronto, like Jacques Plante was Montreal Canadian goalie, and they were my idols. They were great men. And Johnny Bauer was so nice. I stood up and I went to him and I said, Mr. Bauer, would you mind to take a picture with me? I was Denis Lemieux in the movie Slapshot. Oh, yes, nice to meet you. And I was feeling like 12 or 13 years old.
Yeah.
I was so touched.
Yeah.
I came back to my place and knew why I was there. To please people. Just to be open to them, to listen to them. And for an actor, it's quite different when you feel they love the character you played. Denis Lemieux brought me in Germany. He brought me all around the world, even in Australia. So I love him. He brought me everywhere. I never would I travel as much. I was invited because I was Denis Lemieux. I even had to learn German lines.
Wow.
Instead of who owns the Chiefs, it was Wim gehört the Chief. Wim gehört. Gehören. You see, that's completely crazy.
Yeah, and go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it never stops. Last week I received a box with 1,000 hockey cards made for Denis Lemieux. 1,000 by a fan who I met a few years ago, and he asked me for videos, for small videos, and I was always open to help him and to thanks me. He made the design of the card. He took a picture from the movie. He asked me some questions like, where were you born? How do you weight? How tall are you? And I asked him, what are you going to give me?
What kind of questions are these?
He said, wait, you will get it in a few days. And when I received the box, I was...
It made sense to you then. Yeah.
That's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, they love me.
That's great.
And because of my attitude, I'm an open guy. One shot, I was doing a collector show in Edmonton, and a guy came to me and he said, Sorry, I would like to take a picture with you, but I'm shy. I said, oh, nice to meet you, shy. And he walked.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
That's great.
That's my way to do it.
Yeah.
There is no ego interfering,
Yeah.
not at all. That's just an opportunity for me to meet people. And as I'm an actor, so I love people. I learn from them. I'm not looking at them from a step over. I'm on the same level. Yeah.
Yeah, and before we leave the topic of family and get into your acting a little more, I think your mother would have been so proud. I mean, I think she was, just from talking to you, so proud of you because she was an art background, encouraged you. I think she would have loved to have seen what you did, and she would have been very proud of Slapshot and your other accomplishments. Don't you think?
Derek, let me tell you something. I think she is proud.
Yes.
I think she is proud, and my father is proud.
Yep.
I keep those people with me all the time.
I agree.
They're still there. Everybody is still there.
Yeah, and it's not it's not the same for me as far as acting, but I lost my dad about, I want to say, a little over a year ago, and I always think, I wish he was here to see his granddaughter. I think about it maybe every day, but then I have to think maybe he's looking down, and I don't
Absolutely.
know. I hope. I hope.
And be sure of it.
Yeah.
They are closer than they never been.
Yeah.
They are there. We're made of them. Every atom of us is a part of them.
Yep. You're right. I hope you're right. I believe in what you're saying. I believe in what you're saying.
I'm sure of it.
Yeah. It's got to be that way. It has to be that way. There can be no other way, Yvon. No other way.
Yeah, that's really my way to see it. And just to come back, the second, I call it the second life of Slapshot. So, I have a friend whose name is Ken Blake. He lives in California. And in 2002, he had seen pictures of the movies I'd done, pictures that which my sons have put on internet. And he saw a picture of an historical movie, 15 February 1839, movie about the Patriots. And I was playing Ozias Primo, and I had a big bird and long hairs and almost like now. And he came back to me and he said, "Were you the goalie in Slapshot?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Would you mind to sign me some pucks?" And I said, "Why?" I'm not a collector. He was the first one since we made the movie who was asking me things from that movie.
Wow.
I said, "Okay." I said, "Yes, Ken, what do you want me to sign on the pucks?" He said, Denis Lemieux, number 1, and Yvon Barrette. I said, "Okay, I'll do that." He was working for coffee, so he sent me a box of coffee and the 6 pucks. So I signed the pucks, put them back in a box, but I put in the box a call sheet from the movie. And from that call sheet, he was able to get in touch with most of the actors, most of the people who had worked on the movie. And he started a website from the day he saw that movie. It might be in 1970s. So he was a huge fan, Ken. And I sent him the puck and the call sheet and everything. And from that call sheet, he was able to meet Louise Arthurs and Janet Arthurs, the two girls were following the team, and the tall blonde
Yeah, yeah,
girls. And,
yeah.
yeah. And then he realized that Louise had multiple sclerosis. So Ken is very sensible. He became a friend of mine. He came here to visit, and we keep in touch all the time since that moment. And he was deeply touched by the situation Louise was going through. And he came back to me and said, Yvon, he was calling me Mr. Barrette, would you help me to raise money through the Slapshot fans to help Louise?
Oh, very
I said,
nice.
sure. And I said, sure. And I gave him my original script. And Newman gave the jersey, and everybody gave something. And for the first time since the movie was released, we came back to first night in Philadelphia. Louise was dropping the puck. She was sitting in a wheelchair, dropping the pucks at the beginning of the game. And during the game, we signed pictures. We were sitting around the arena, and we signed pictures. A lot of people went around. And the day after, we went back to Johnstown, where we shoot the movie. And in Johnstown, that was unbelievable. That was really unbelievable. So many people were extras, and they had not seen us since maybe 25 years. They were 5 years old when they did their part in the movie, and the arena was full. We start signing pictures at 7:30. We went out of the arena at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
We were maybe 15 actors from the movie, and we raised $25,000.
Wow.
Yeah. From that night, I understood that we might do something interesting from that movie. The way people loves it, and it was quite different. I had done 15 movies and nothing to say. You have seen it, okay, that was nice, and that's it. But now that was something else. I knew it from that point. And a few years later, I was doing another collector show in Toronto, and my friend Kerry Goulet, who has done his hockey career in Germany, passed by the booth, and he said, I'm going to bring you in Germany. I had to wait 2 years before he called me back. Are you ready to come in Germany? And he was a very, very generous man. He started to the first thing was shoot for a cure. He was raising money to make studies around hockey players' accidents. Shoot for a cure. That was it.
Right.
And then he started another group with Stop Concussions, and he has. I followed them to bring people in arenas because everybody knows Slapshot. I had myself some stop concussion. I had some concussion when I was doing sport when I was young.
Right.
Anyway, we did 4 tours in Germany together, one in England. He brought me in Australia too. Because he starts Stop Concussions group in Australia, everywhere. In the States, they have one, and everywhere. And together, we became close friends. My wife is a part of the trip. We did those trips together, and And I make friends all around the world with that thing.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, that's it.
So
So
did you see the power of Slapshot, the effect it had on others? Did it take you a little while to see that? Because you talk about the fundraiser, you talk about all the second life. Is that something you didn't see right away? Because I feel like Slapshot's been popular for a long, long time, but it's a different perspective. Like you're in the middle of it,
yeah, absolutely. That's a very the only ones who made something from Slapshot were the Hanson Brothers. They started company
Right.
as soon as the movie was released, and they did some publicity, and they saw that movie like their own life story, which is almost true.
Right.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
an actor. That's Ken Blake who brought us together to do fundraisings. They invite me at a lot of places to raise money for cancer or something else. Or yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the movie itself, Mike Fenton, who is the casting director, has done some amazing things. Goonies, Back to the Future, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. The fact that he, I had to believe he played a big part in you getting the role. Is that a fair comment, Yvon?
You were talking about Mike Fenton.
Yes, because like he is for those listening, he's a legendary casting director.
Oh yes, and he was a great man.
Right.
He's the first one I met.
Okay.
That's for me. It's like a fairy tale. That's unbelievable. Yeah. I live 500 miles east of Montreal. He was in Montreal, Mike Fenton, with George Rio. They were looking for a short, squat French Canadian. They had auditioned maybe 300 or 400 people in Montreal. Everybody wanted to play in a movie with Paul Newman, But they were unhappy with the people they met. And a friend of mine, Donald Pilon, was leading them in Montreal through the French artistic colony. And we had made some movies together, Donald and I. And after a few days, Donald was, did not do what I'm going to do to find somebody. And he came out of the Ritz-Carlton and he thought of me. He said, Yvon. He went back in the hotel, and he said, I have somebody to bring you tomorrow morning. We had made movies together, and I will bring you see some scenes from those movies. He brought them at the production house, and they went and they looked at the scenes from La Vraie Nature de Bernadette and Les Corps Célestes. And as soon as they saw me, they said, yes, we want to see him today. But I'm very far east. So Donald called me home and he said, Yvon, that's very serious. Your plane ticket is at Montjoli Airport. The plane leaves at 3 o'clock. You have to be at the Ritz-Carlton for 6 o'clock tonight. And you will meet Mike Fenton, and that's it. I took the plane. I made it at the Ritz-Carlton. It was 5 minutes to 6 o'clock on time, and I called him at his room. And he said, how did you made it? I said, I'm always on time, no trouble. So he brought me, you might be hungry, so he brought me to a brasserie. I ordered a meal and a buck of beer, and I was unable to eat anything. I looked at him and I said, please tell me about the movie. And it starts that way. He said, well, the movie starts on you. And I did not do at this moment if it was a Western or and I did not know it was a hockey movie yet. He told me the whole movie story. After that, we went back to his room, and I read the script from the beginning to the end. And around midnight, we did the opening scene on tape recorder, and he gave me the line. And after we have been through the pages, he started improvising, and that was it. I already knew Denis Lemieux.
Yeah.
I knew and he said, you will get a phone call pretty soon, and I'm sure it's okay. And that was it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. You know, and you mentioned this. I mean, obviously those listening know, but the movie opens up with you. It's such a funny, it's a great opening for so many reasons. I mean, you get this part in this enormous movie, and the first 2 minutes of the movie you're featured throughout it, but the first 2 minutes are you. That's a huge. That's a huge moment, Yvon. Right? That's a huge.
That's a big gift, and we showed that scene last week on the last week. I was I was waiting to do it. That was something very serious, and that's quite a long scene. And the scene you see when you look at the movie is the first take.
Wow.
And I did one take.
Wow.
They told me, because Andrew Duncan was nervous, and I used to hit the floor with my stick, but his leg went up. And he is not faking.
No, that looked like it was real. It looked like it was real. Yeah,
that was real.
Yeah, and,
be sure.
And I mentioned this earlier. You have many. You mentioned Paul Newman. You have many scenes with Paul Newman. Are you?
Yeah.
And I know you're an actor. I know this is not your first movie, but do you put pressure on yourself? Are you nervous? Because in my opinion, to this very day in 2020. Paul Newman is one of the top 5 actors that's ever lived. That's my opinion. Top 5 ever.
That's mine too.
Yeah, ever.
That's mine too. Yeah, absolutely.
So, were you nervous? Would you put pressure on yourself?
Not because of that.
Okay.
I'm a professional actor.
Right.
So, I knew that if I put something serious in the character, there will be no problem.
Right.
Okay. I was sitting with him after a few days of shooting. We were shooting, and I asked him, Mr. Newman, do you think my character is... I wanted to know if I was doing right. He looked at me and gave me that Newman smile. That... And I'll tell you another story about how I was feeling that first after a week of shooting. Okay,
yeah.
It was midnight. We were all staying in the same hotel in Johnstown. Sure. I was at the bar having a beer because I had that alcohol problem I told you.
Yep.
Around midnight, I called George Royal at his room, the director. He woke up and said, "Hello? Oh, that's Yvon. What do you want to talk about? It's midnight. You have to be up at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. If you don't mind, we will talk at breakfast." Okay, sorry, George. Good night. The morning after, I did not knew how to react. He walked to me. I was going in the dining room. He walked to me and he looked at me and said, "Yvon, what do you want to talk about?" I looked at him and I said, "I'll call you tonight." And we became very close friends.
Yes.
From that incident. That's something. He was not asking everybody to improvise, or there is one scene where I'm in the locker room and I do almost an epileptic crisis. You know, da-da-da-da-da-da. You know. Well, I was waiting for that, doing that scene, but I was sitting just in front of the locker room, and I was dressed as a goalie from 8 o'clock in the morning. We were around 6 o'clock the night time, and they had done what they had to do, and George Royal came to me and he said, Yvon, forget the lines. Yeah, come pay. Forget the line, do me an epileptic crisis.
That's
okay,
great,
George.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great. And for those listening, I should mention, if you didn't know, Slapshot is it's basically a true story, right? I mean, it's Nancy Dowd's. It's Nancy Dowd's brother. She wrote about her brother and his experiences in minor league hockey, which I have to tell you, Yvon, seems like a very tough way to make a living in minor league hockey.
That was terrible. And the violence in that league, when I came to Johnstown, I was a hockey fan from my early ages. I had never seen as much violence. You know, that was unbelievable. And our brother, Ned, had signed with Chicago to maybe make the National League. But he was so bad, injured by a stick. Somebody hit him with a stick in his back, and that was it. He was unable to do the National League. So he called Nancy, who was living in LA, studying script writing. And he said, Nancy, I would like you to come to Johnstown and see what happens. And she came down in Johnstown and spent at least a month or two watching the games, putting tape recorders in the locker rooms to hear what they say when they're there. And, she was, she took the time to understand what it was to play in that league.
Yes, she did her homework.
So,
yes.
that's almost a documentary.
Absolutely.
That's why that's something as I don't know if you know it, but when there was that accident in Saskatchewan a few years ago, all the team were the bus was
oh
hit
yeah.
by a big, they found a CD of Slapshot by the bus. They were listening to Slapshot.
Wow.
That's something.
Wow. Yeah, that was Yvon, that was a horrible bus accident, right? And I think everyone died, but there was a couple. Am I wrong? Did a couple people live out of that?
Yes, a few ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that movie was there and they were enjoying that movie, I mean, it's the one little glimmer of hope amongst all this tragedy.
Yeah. Yeah, they were laughing at least.
Yes. And you got me thinking when you were talking, minor league hockey. I rewatched the movie last night, and it never gets old for me. And I just picked up on little things that you never see anymore. We talk about how tough minor league hockey is, but you never see a player coach anymore. You never see players playing without a helmet anymore. I mean, there was even a time where goalies would play with no mask, which is absolutely insane. I mean, in Slapshot they have a mask, but you forget how tough some of these old school hockey players really were.
Oh yeah, they were. And hockey was even less dangerous than today it is because of the equipment.
Yep.
They don't feel anything when they hit somebody with their big pads, with the tough gloves, and that becomes the hockey goes to the head more than it never did. That's one of the reason Stop Concussions is working, to try to bring equipment builders
Yes.
to go back to small equipment. To let the people feel when they hit somebody,
Yeah.
it has to be they hurt themselves at the same time. If you hit somebody and it hurts you, you are more careful.
Yeah, and your character Denis, and I know you said it was you were going through a lot in this period of time. You're like, he's such a fantastic character. But even when you look around, he's a good guy. Like, he's not a bad man. He's a good guy.
Not at all.
He's
Yes.
He's honest. He's funny. He's very enthusiastic.
Absolutely. But that's me too.
Of
That's me.
course, yes,
I'm still the same guy.
yes.
Yeah. And you know what? Well, I have a friend his name is Tom Mikula, and he had bobbleheads made from my character. They were made in China, and we still work together. He's retired now. But we have so much fun working together. So when I have to do some collector show, he comes with me, and just to spend a few days, because we have a lot of fun. That's it. And I was on my way to Toronto with I was in a car with Alexandre Paquette, who is the guy who founded Mad Brothers, and they bought the rights to sell jerseys from the Chiefs and caps and everything. They bought the right to do it from Universal.
Right.
When I was going to Toronto, and Tom phoned me to ask. He said, Yvon, TSN would like to have you to do a sketch that was with James Duffy, the guy who works at the Hockey Hall of Fame to do inductions. He's the guy who... Anyway, I made it to TSN. They had rebuilt the set of the opening scene. They found a jacket. It was looking like Andrew Duncan. Okay. And when I made it there, it was 5 o'clock. We were shooting at 5:30, something like that. And it was during the lockout. So he asked me, Yvon, would you mind if we do some lines, new lines, to talk about the lockout in the scene, okay?
Yeah.
I said, okay, no problem. So first thing was, hey, Dennis, what do you think about lockout? I said, lockout's very bad, Last week I went to have some beers with my fellow players, and when I came back home, my wife Nicole had locked everything, so I was lockout. That's terrible. What do you think about celeries? Oh, celery's no good. I'm a goalie. I prefer carrots for my vision. That was a funny sketch. And there were serious professional hockey players talking about the lockout between periods, the old game they were showing. And one of them came to me between takes. And he was tall, so he looked at me and he said, I'm a real goalie, I looked at him, I'm a real actor.
That's awesome. That is so great. That is so great. I have to say, so I have a couple questions left. You've given me so much of your time, and I cannot thank you enough. You're such a good human being. Thank you, Yvon, for letting me talk to you for almost an hour here. I have to say, one of the sweetest quotes of the whole movie is when Denis is talking about going to the, and you've probably heard this 1,000 times, going to the penalty box, and he talks about you go by yourself, you feel shame, and then you get free. It's such an innocence and beauty and like it sets up the rest of the movie. You're in for a good ride. What a sweet. He doesn't swear at he's not really like over the top. Just a very sweet quote, right?
Just some English pig with no brain do that. You do that. You go to the box. 2 minutes by yourself, you feel shame. Then you get free.
Hey, you could never make that. I was thinking about this last night. You could never make Slapshot today, ever. The PC police would go crazy. Never do that.
No.
It's a different time and a different but it still holds up. So what does that tell you? It's some people call it the best sports movie ever. I would be in that ballpark. Look at.
Yeah.
Slapshot. So I don't know. My last question for you is this, okay? Which window are you in on the bus when they drive by? I've heard you in other interviews. You say, "I'll never tell you what window I'm in."
Sorry, Derek, but I don't remember.
His name is Yvon Barrette. Yvon, thank you so much for coming on the show today. You made my night, and it's just talking to you is even better than I thought it was going to be, and I thought it was going to be fantastic.
I was, what I told you, we will have fun, and I think we had fun.